Can I please ask all officers and guests who are joining remotely to turn off their cameras so that only councillors, lay members and co-op teams are on the screen. You are asked to turn on your camera when presenting reports or responding to questions, but please turn them back off after your item has finished. Prynawn dda pawb, croeso i'r cyfarfod heddiw. Hello and welcome to the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council Neighbourhood Services Countryside and Planning Committee of the 25th of September 2023. And I'd like to thank you all for attending this afternoon. Please note that this meeting may be recorded and broadcast via the authority's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes. Move on to agenda item 1, apologies for absence. Do we have any? Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest, including whipping declarations? We have none. Before we go into the reports properly, it's been decided to reverse item 3 and item 4 in the agenda. So we'll go to agenda item 4 first, the HWRC report. So with that, can I pass you over to Councillor David Hughes, please?
Thank you, Chair. The progress report on the recent changes to the van permit scheme and the acceptance of the certain trade recyclable materials in the Dowlais HWRC. The report provides a progress report to the committee further to the changes made to the van permit scheme and the introduction of the acceptance of certain trade recycling materials at Dowlais HWRC, following the recommendations from the previous scrutiny report attached, and sets out the benefits and challenges experienced. The recommendations that the Scrutiny Committee notes the content of the report and, where appropriate, members to offer any recommendations and feedback. If you go to point 3, introduction and background, in January 2023, the recommendations made to improve the efficiency of the van permit scheme agreed by the scrutiny meeting on the 26th of September 2022, and the report is attached in the, as you can see, were implemented. The recommendation that was made that day to allow residents of the county borough to use the sites on an unlimited occasions instead of the previously restriction of 6 permits per year. To remove the requirement of the residents to have to use a permit within a 7-day period. To include larger vans such as box vans and flatbeds vehicle under 3.75 ton to the van permit scheme, which had previously been omitted and not allowed to the sites. Minibuses no longer required a van permit. In December 2022, the recommendation made the scrutiny meeting of the 26th of September 2022 report attached to accept free of charge certain trade recycling materials, cost neutral to the income generating at the Dowlais Household Waste and Recycle Centre for a trial of 12 months. And that brings us up to date now. The recommendation was implemented to help the authority to achieve the increased Welsh Government recovery rate, as well as offering an outlet for commercial premises to dispose a certain material and sustainable at a sustainable manner. Existing authority trade customers were offered the service in December 2022. This offered was extended to non-council customers in January 2023. The next point shows where we are. The previous restrictions imposed on site users required van permits to dispose of household waste. Recycling were difficult to administer and monitor by the authority. There was also an onus placed on permit applicants that resulted in numerous complaints as a result of the restrictions, which had no benefit to the authority in terms of efficiency and the scheme to ease the use of those wishing to use the service. Where we are now, I want to do all out. Where we are, since the introduction of the revised van permit scheme, administration and monitoring of the system has become easier and more efficient, and for all staff involved in the process. A number of complaints from van permit applicants have reduced since the above restrictions were lifted in January. As you can see, there's a table underneath which shows all the materials that were collected and where they have increased and decreased. Of the 16 of the material types accepted under the trial scheme, there have been tonnage increase of 7 or in 9 of them, compared to the same period of the previous year, with an overall increase of nearly 17 tonnes. At the time of writing this report, 276 businesses within the county borough have signed up for the service. This is a mixture of a curbside trade recycling service, customers and non-customers. Although there's no official account of traders using the site, a significant amount of local businesses have signed up utilising the scheme. These have been identified when when relevant checks are being made at the waste transfer note sign up, when the business attends the site. Where we want to be to continue to provide efficient van permit scheme and the benefits to the authority and the public who wish to use the service. To develop trade use WHRCs for disposing recyclables to further up towards achieving our 23 to 24 Welsh Government recovery target of 70%. To do that, what we need to do to periodically review the van permit system to ensure that the service provided is best meeting the needs of the authority and its local residents, to increase the customer base further and encourage more usage of the service by existing customers, and to increase the tonnage, helping us to improve the overall recovery rate. Look at expanding the scheme to the Aberfan site, which would be a very good thing to do. At the end of the 12-month trial period, retain the service permanently, and to investigate the possibility of accepting other recyclable materials from trade premises such as wood, sheet glass, green waste and carpets at the HWRCs. As there is a cost of recycling these materials, then there may be a requirement to provide the service at the cost to the customer, and therefore move. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, David. On that point then, I'll open it up to the committee if there are any questions. Councillor Bill Smith, please.
Thank you, Chair. On what to do next, we've got Aberfan, we get sort of Aberfan out first. So what's the time limit on Aberfan? Over I'm going to wait like 12 months because people can't be bothered to wait for that. They want it done now. So what's the time limit?
We discussed this and we're looking perhaps January after Christmas.
So that's every January as a time limit.
Yeah, well,
What? Oh, go on, sorry. What we wanted to do, obviously, we said this was going to be a 12-month period of trial. As soon as January comes, that 12 months is up, then we want to carry that on then to make it a permanent thing, but also introduce it then to expand into Aberfan.
So it was the same what we're doing in
Yeah.
the bond now, everything be the same trade,
Yes.
non-trade, everything.
Yes.
Great. So how was the scheme working? How was the scheme working like you wanted to work in, or were major problems, or you know? But I've been down in day for yesterday, and it's everything seems to be going all right.
Yeah, we don't seem to be having any issues, to be honest with you. Complaints have reduced. We don't know how many yet, but they have reduced. But there's no issues at all, and it's running well.
No, great, that's mine, that's too, because as I say, I've used it a lot, and I've seen a big, massive difference over the last year. And the vans going in, and the vans going in because of the permits, and they're working tidy. I'm not going to mention the problem I brought up, but I'll leave you to sort it out and come back.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sorry, next is Councillor Clive Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Just got 3 questions. On page 19, under paragraph 5.3, you got the table there. I think it's pleasing to hear that the tonnage as a result of this trial scheme, which seems to be going to continue. What is the current rate of recycling up to date? Do we know that figure? Because the reason for the question is when 24 from next year, 24 24 starting in April. From there on, that 70% is going to increase. It's from 25, isn't it? April 25. So if we can be given the percentage rate, how much more tonnage do we need to increase during the next 18 months to get up to that 70% figure?
Right, okay, so you're talking about the overall recycling
Yes.
rate, not the HWRCs.
Yes.
Very tricky to judge a tonnage based on it because it depends on where it's come from. So if it's within the total waste horizons we're producing now, then for every 500 tonnes, it's 1%. If it's additional tonnage, which we don't normally have in our total waste over the annual period, then you need 3,500 tonnes per 1%. So it depends on where the material comes from.
Right.
Is my answer. And the current recycling rate, we're on 68% at the moment, but that's just for Q1 of this year. So that's just for January, April, May, June of this year. That's it. That's all we've got in so far.
So we increase the tonnage as a result of this scheme, which is part and parcel of the whole amount from domestic users, etc. But we got to go increase it.
Yes.
Unless we can get the domestic user to put the recycling out of the wheelie bin
Yes.
and into these bins provided, we're going to have, in my opinion, perhaps a little bit of difficulty in reaching that figure.
Yeah, exactly what you just said. Because if it's not already in the total waste stream, as you know, you need 3,000, like I just said, 3,500 tonnes of it. If it's already in no waste stream, which it is in the black bin, we basically need to convert residual to recycling. That's how we're going to get it.
It's not, well, at least I couldn't see it mentioned here, but there's a hell of a lot of skips provided all over the county borough. And from what I see, there are certain recyclables in those skips,
Yeah,
which could be going to be used. So I don't know if anybody takes a small skip up to the recycling sites. Perhaps they're not allowed to, but it does seem to me, unless they've been taken away privately, they are being dumped somewhere and not recycled. So from what I see, there seems to be a fair amount of certain recyclables that could be taken out of these skips, but clearly they are being taken to elsewhere and doesn't come into the recyclable scheme.
yeah, you're right. And like I said, we've introduced other things as well. Like we're doing a curbside bulky collection for rubble, the scrap metals on the curbside. We've done this for the van permits. We also do schools and things like that, like Bishop Edley School I was closing down. We've taken 2 skips of electronics and
Right.
scrap metals and things from there. So anything in the authority really that we can get, we taken. But ultimately, it's going to be 3 or 4 weekly. That's the only thing that
Right.
can get us to where we need to be going forward.
Chair, I didn't realise that you're collecting rubble from domestic users. I don't know whether that's broadly known
Well,
to every.
yeah, we haven't started yet. I think
Oh, right.
it's haven't gone live
Yeah.
yet.
We've been we've spoken about it, and we've ordered in the bags.
Right.
So this obviously we haven't advertised it yet because we're just doing a trial period at the moment.
Right.
We're making sure that our vehicle can lift
Right.
the actual sacks that we've bought, blah blah blah, and then we're going to obviously introduce it as a rubble system,
Lovely.
coinciding with the bulky items. So say for instance you're doing a small job in your garden or something and you don't want a full skip, then you can use a rubble bag to have a ton taken away. We'll pick it up, you pay for it as you do a bulky item, and we come and take it and we recycle it.
Right. So
We're in the process of trialing it.
Is
at
it,
the
you
moment.
got, was it 4 items that you can put in
Yeah.
a skip? So they could use that
Yes.
rubble as one of the 4 items?
No, the rubble will be extra because we'll have to charge the price that we
Right.
got to pay for it to take it
Right.
to landfill.
So, but you don't know what that charge is going to be at the moment?
No.
Okay. And still on page 19, Chair, under 5.5, refers there, at the time of writing this particular report, 276 businesses have signed up to the service there. How many businesses is the potential throughout the county borough to sign up to this? Do we know that?
I spoke to the trade waste officer and I said potentially there's 500 businesses in Merthyr, so potentially a 500. That has gone up now. That's gone up
Right.
over 300 customers now, but potentially 500.
That's
That's businesses we know about that's operating in Merthyr.
lovely. Oh, I think that's excellent. And just so I've, because Councillor Smith asked the question about the Aberfan site. What don't we do there now that you want to do in the future compared to the Dowlais one?
Yeah, like in Aberfan, we don't do plasterboard, we don't do asbestos. And the reason being for those 2 materials is because you've got to have special restrictions, like emergency showers and things like that, in order to collect that sort of waste. The site is not really big enough to facilitate that. So that could be something possibly we want to do. Trade waste has been mentioned as well, as in the other recyclables we can have, but of a DIY nature. The only issue at the moment is it's going to take a bit of time to prepare a report for that because of the cost implications.
Right.
So basically, accepting wood from the traders and rubble and other things could cost us an extra £250,000, £300,000 a year, which is money we obviously haven't got. So it'd have to be some sort of pricing mechanism built in so that it's a cost neutral. So we're allowing traders to bring, say, wood in, but then they are paying. So if we pay, I don't know, £90 a tonne for the gate fee, for every kilo wood that comes in, we've got to charge £1 or £2, whatever it is, to weigh up the costs.
Right.
But to do that, it's going to take a lot of work, obviously, and we got to filter in admin support and things like that as well, and charges for that, backroom staff. So it is something that we're thinking about, but obviously we got to get this done till January now, and then we'll go forward with the next step then to that.
Yes, I understand that. There's a cost to setting this up.
It's a huge cost to it.
And it's a smaller site than Dowlais, so you need to expand it.
Yes.
To give you all the room to do what you're doing.
Well, we're fortunate because of the size of the contracts we have with some of these materials. The local builders around here won't have the price that we will get for the gate fees. So the bonus is, for instance, I can take that wood off that carpenter a lot cheaper than you can get rid of it anyway. So it's going to benefit the community, plus it's going to benefit us in regards to recycling. And hopefully, if it can be run at a cost neutral, everybody's a winner.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it, Chair. Thank you very much.
Can I just add to that one though, Christian? You talk about the cost implications being £250,000. What is the potential penalty per percentage point that we could face if we don't hit the targets? I think it's £200,000, is it?
Yeah, it depends on the percentage you miss by. Sorry, it depends on the percentage you miss by. So for every percent, it was 200 and something thousand, was it?
I think it's every ton.
So every ton, is it £200 per ton, isn't it?
£100 per ton.
So if you're looking at, if we finish up where we did last year, which was 65.7 something, top of my head, you're 4.1% off it, so it's near enough £1 million, I would have thought.
So that refocuses your mind with the
Yeah.
investment of £250,000.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And that would be an ongoing saving to the authority for the future as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Councillor Leighton, next, please.
Thank you, Chair. On the same page on 5.6, although no official count of traders using the site has been made, a significant amount of local businesses have started utilising the scheme, which is amazing. Why don't we count the number of traders?
They are counted who signed up. So we've got a system where the traders sign up for the transfer note scheme. So we know exactly how many people have booked it to come up there, but we can't tell for definite who's actually using it. Because, for
Right.
instance, now some of the, say, for instance, the cafe down the road or whatever, they've already signed up for a tradeways contract with us. The transfer note allows them to come to the sites, but we don't know whether they're using it or not.
Right, okay.
Yep.
And Sector, can I just ask one more, please? Were the traders charged before, like, for example, cardboard and all that? And what has the impact been on the revenue of the council?
We have never charged to trade. We've never allowed trade in, even though we've had
Right.
the permit for it. Sometimes accepting trade waste can be very complicated.
Right.
But because of these curbside materials, I don't know about the income. We have generated obviously more cardboard, cans and plastics and things like that. But these sort of items, a lot of it was already being collected on the curbside. So we've basically moved it from one position to another. So we were having a lot of it anyway. But yeah, only at the end of the year, when we do the finances on the income materials, we'll know exactly if we've increased on our revenue streams.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Paula. Councillor Malcolm Colburn, next, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a couple of quick ones from me. Excuse my ignorance, but on the table on 5.3, I don't know what SDA stands for.
All domestic appliances.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And the only other thing was on that table on 5.3. These are the tonnages for trade waste. Is that right?
No, that's the tonnages for the old site. So
Right.
that's the increase on 2022 was the tonnages for the old site and 2023, and the difference is in the marked column on the right. So basically, since running the scheme, 5.58 tons additional we've had of large domestic appliances, which is NDA.
Right.
But the biggest one on the front of it, obviously, because I'm on the site every day and I see what goes on, fridges is gone through the roof. We used to have one collection every 10 days fridges. Now we have 2 a week. It's because the scrap men can't collect fridges. They got to pay to get rid of them. We haven't because of the DRS scheme. So we get rid of them for free, obviously, as long as they're not commercial, like pub fridges, under counter fridges and things. So we've seen an awful lot of fridges, which is good for tonnages.
So with trade, talking about the commercial fridges, they have to be paid to be taken away, do they?
Yeah, we collect fridges on the trade bulkies. It's not so much the size of the fridge, it's the brand. So if it's like an under-counter pub fridge or it's like a, I don't know, a Budweiser fridge or branded fridge, it costs us £75 to dispose of that.
Right. Okay. Thank you. That was all from me. Thanks, Chair.
Colburn. Are there any other further questions? Councillor Clive Jones.
Sorry, there was one, because you mentioned that the number of complaints had reduced from, I presume, van permit holders. So the complaints we have now, what generally do they refer to now that you're operating this scheme?
We still have complaints. We'll have complaints on various things, mostly about, like in Aberfan, about asbestos. We'll have complaint. Why is it only Dowlas that's got it? It's not in Meath, that sort of thing, like, because you know, it gets political, doesn't it, the further. So, yeah, they want the same as what Dowlas got, basically, but unfortunately they can't, because the site won't allow it. The size of the site won't allow it. We have complaints regarding well, we don't really have nothing about the sites in general. It might be the way they've been spoken to and they don't like the way they were treated. Maybe somebody had a bad day and the way they've talked is not correct, maybe. But yeah, very, very little. I mean, I've answered 3 complaints in about 3 months.
Right.
So they're very few and far between now.
So compared to what you were having before, it's vastly reduced.
Yeah, and I think it was because as well, I can understand where they were coming from. You'd have somebody coming in with a van, say for instance, and it was like, well, why am I only allowed to come here 6 times a year? It's not fair. This is my primary vehicle, but which is a good case. So obviously those complaints now are gone. And then obviously if it was a shop coming in with loads of cardboard, which we want, even though we wanted it, we was like, we can't leave you in. So they were like, but it's only cardboard. I can put it in my box outside the house and be collected. So you could see the frustrations
Right.
from the people, from the public, because of what the material was. But no, we don't have it. Just don't have
And
them.
before the scheme was introduced, minibus type vehicles.
Yeah.
My understanding is they were stopped if they had items.
They
there.
need a permit, yeah.
But that's gone by the by then.
Yeah, we've removed the need for minibuses to have a permit because the boot space is still the same as really as a car. What we have said, though, under the permit scheme, any vehicle that the back seats have been removed, so if it's a minibus and all the seats have been removed, or a
Right.
car and the seats have been removed, it will require a permit.
It's a different matter.
But they're unlimited anyway,
Yeah.
so it's not really an issue.
Right. Lovely. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Bill Smith.
Thank you, Chair. 2 questions. Gloss paint, any paint? We can't put it in the. I forgot the reason why, because I got Europe regular on it. Because they said we've been told to put it in the black bin. But when I said paper, I was told it cost funding to remove it from the bond. So is that the reason?
2 things with the paint. One, we put a business case together. I can't remember what date it was. It was a few years back now, maybe 2020, maybe, or 2019.
Yeah.
The paint was costing us £62,000 a year to recycle. And we voted to pull the plug on it, basically. We weren't going to recycle it anymore. The second up, we do paint reuse. So good paints that come in, we keep it. And then we give it out. If somebody comes in, they want paint, they sign a waiver and they take it from us. But we got so much paint in stock now, we literally can't take any more. Nobody wants it. So we've exhausted the reuse option really of it. But yeah, paint can be put in your black wheel bin and the containers can be brought down to recycling. The best thing to do is leave a guard though. Is take the lid off, leave a guard, put either some flour or some sawdust in it. Just bang it out in your bin. It's all like hard paint, and then just bring the tins down the site. But obviously we can't recycle. We can recycle it, but at a massive cost.
Thank you, Chair. That's one of the questions I get regular. And the other question I asked, what else can we recycle? Now, we're doing a lot of things, 99%. What's the 1% we got to do? I know we work with the highway boys, marking bits and pieces. So what else can we do?
Well, the aim is, and I keep on saying this, the aim is not to increase our total waste horizons, it's turning residual. And you're only going to get to these targets by turning residual waste into recycling. Because 70% is not a target, it's a milestone. The target is 0 waste in 2050. That's where we should be aiming for. Not 74%, not 78%, it's 0 waste. So what Welsh Government want you to do, they don't want to have this rubble, they don't want to have all these extra materials. What they want you to do is look in your residual bin and start, right, say you've got polystyrene, they're going to open up a market to recycle polystyrene. Plastic film, they're going to start recycling plastic film. What they're trying to do is eliminate everything in our residual bin and turn it into a recycling stream. It's as simple as that.
And it's like win the lottery, because that'll never happen, to be honest. Because I clean my garage site up and round the green, right? Now I put that stuff in the black bin. I won't recycle it because you know what's been there. So, and it's smelly. So that's not going to work, is it?
No, but that's Welsh Government. That's their
So the
target.
other part is we want this, the clear film. Are we doing anything on the clear film recycling?
Yeah, we do.
Before we were in bags and I used to pick up in the recycling bag.
Yeah, we recycle about 10 to 15 ton sacks a week of plastic film from the sites. It can be brought down there. We haven't done nothing on the curbside yet.
Right. Is that happening? That's a big issue.
Paul answer that one.
Yeah, we were in talks with the Welsh Government to start another scheme up, another trial scheme, but do the whole borough, not just in certain areas. During that meeting, the chair collapsed and he only came back to work last week, and that was about 4 months ago. He started reinstating it now. So within the next week or so, there's going to be more meetings with Welsh Government, and then we're going to hopefully trial the whole borough on plastic film again within the next year or so.
Councillor Clive Jones.
On that one, if that happens for all domestic users, will they have to put that in a separate bag or bin? I know it's not, really weighty, but you'll have to put it somewhere. Otherwise, with the wind and rain that we get, it'll be all over the county borough.
Yeah, like the trial scheme was that they we give out plastic bags, and and that the vision is to do the same.
Right,
Only problem is, I think it's going to have to be a reusable bag in some way,
right.
because obviously we go into zero single-use plastic, and if we're using bags again on the curbside, then that's going against what the Welsh government wants. So we'll have to have some sort of reusable bag for the plastic film.
And that I presume, determined by the Welsh government
Yes.
as to what the authorities should be using.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great, thanks.
Are there any further questions from the committee? I've got one slightly off sync with this report, but can you tell us where we are with the video awareness campaign, please?
Yes, Sarah's the behavioural change officer has been appointed now on a full-time basis. She's working with the Youth Council and corporate comms. What we didn't want to do, there was new legislation supposed to come out in October for Tetra Pak, which was like the orange cartons and things. What we didn't want to do was make the video, and then within a month it's incorrect information. So what we're trying to do is come that legislation was not going to come in until next January. So obviously I've told Sarah now to do the video as it is now, because we need to get something out there now to reach a target. So we're going to do the video now. So Sarah's in the process of dealing with our corporate comms plus the Youth Council, because they've done a couple of videos on litter picking and a few others. Hopefully we'll have it out now. We'll have the video before long. She's also working with IT to do a Bob's business on recycling for the internal councillors and staff. Hopefully now that's going to be up and running now by November.
Thank you, Paul. So if Mr. Philip Starr, please.
Chair, Paul, behavioural change officer, what's the job spec for that role, and is it a permanent full-time post?
Yeah, it's a full-time post, and it is what it is. It's trying to change the behaviour of our residents so that they recycle more and put less in the black bin, and that's basically what it is. Obviously, there's a lot behind that job spec, but the main purpose is to get out there, knock doors, educate people, awareness. We're doing the there's a stand in town every fortnight in the town centre. We got a stand every month up in Trago Mills. It's all about just trying to educate people and trying to get people aware of what they're recycling and what they can recycle with our service.
So it's a physical job, not
Yes.
just communications.
No, it's not just communication. It's out on the ground.
Okay.
Sarah does all the pop-up. She got a pop-up tent, like a gazebo, when she goes to, like I say, Trago town centre. There was one other on it, something fields she went to the other day. There's like the small festivals within the schools.
Yeah.
She goes around all those. She takes the freebies, like the food caddies and the free food bins and bags and things, and takes those and gives them out. It's just raising awareness throughout the borough.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
So if there are no more questions, do we have any comments, please? Councillor Clive Jones.
Well, I think we've discussed this issue before, and obviously, from what I can see of it, we are progressing. Because I think we all felt that the van permit scheme needed a thorough examination. You brought in a trial scheme, is extended. To me, it seemed to be clearly working and increasing the tonnage. And that's what we're after. So frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a good story that we can tell all and sundry out there as to what the council are doing in this particular respect. I think as a committee chair that sometime in the future, we need to know, because the nearer we get the 70%, we need to know what's being done, what we can't do, and what else that we could routes we can go down.
I can just think on that. The only problem I see is a great, yeah, but we're already like too late for the 70%, if you know what I mean? Because anything to strive towards that 70% needs to be implemented now.
Right.
Because from April, from April next year, you're on that 70% target. So if we're on 66 or 67, wherever we're on, changes have to be put in place as soon as to get that 70%, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, perhaps the only thing that you can do then in a short interim
Yeah.
is get more businesses to take part of this.
That's what,
500, is that right? We're doing over half of them. There's
Yeah.
500 in total.
Yeah.
So there's those to be.
And I spoke to Lisa this morning, and I think 3 or 4 burger vans and ice cream vans as well have signed up this morning. So
All right,
again, there'll be a lot of plastic film, I would have thought, and cardboard.
great.
So yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Bill Smith.
Can I say thank you much, because there's a lot of work done in this. Oh, I go back over the period of years when it first started in the bond, it was a mess, wasn't it? Never went private, that was a mess. And then we took it back in-house, it all changed. So I think we've done well, and especially the committee supported it last time on trade, vans and everything else. So to myself, it's going well. Do we work with other authorities, housing associations? Because it is a bee in my bonnet, that is, because you go Merthyr Homes, Merthyr Housing, and it's not a question. Do we work with them? Because the rubbish is about in some areas, we can hit the 70% that's left outside on open fields and bits and pieces.
Yes.
Because they don't pick up. You know yourself, experience.
We do events. Sarah goes out and does events with Merthyr Valley Homes. We do like recycling days where we put skips in the community and just collect metals and recycle it and carbon and the rest of it. But at the moment, that's as far as we've gone with it.
Yeah, quite happy. Thank you.
Councillor Paula Layton.
Oh, thanks, Chair. Just wanted to say it was a great report. Thank you very much for bringing it, and I look forward to seeing the video.
Are there any other comments? I just add briefly then, you've got a very difficult job in front of you hitting this 70% target for next year. And all I can say is keep up the good work, and together I'm hopeful that we can hit those targets. Thank you very much. And on that note, if you can stay if you wish, or you can leave if you wish. Thank you both. Move on now then to agenda item 3, which is the highway service overview. And for that, I'll pass you over to Councillor David Hughes.
Thank you, Chair. I just like to say I won't be reading it all out, because you can see the size on the report. What it was, I had a load of notes made on what.gov, but that's down, so you've got a paper copy. So the report provides update of highway service since the last scrutiny on the 14th of October 2019. So it's a fair time lapse there. The report provides update from the highway service is managing and monitoring the 340 kilometres of adopted highways within the County Borough Council. It provides a brief overview of its functions and the current developments. The purpose of the report is that the contents of the report be discussed and noted in relationship to the management and monitoring of the highways, and as part of the Council's statutory duty to inspect and maintain highways within the County Borough of Merthyr Tydfil. The introduction and background is found from 3.1 to 4, and what this report, the highway services, universal public services, core functions for the local councils with numerous statutory duties, and the focus of this report centres on the following areas. As you can see them, there are 10 areas there. I won't read them all out. I'm sure you read them. Where we are, under the Highways Act of 1980, there is statutory duty to inspect and adopt highway. The Highways Department has 2.5 highway inspectors who carry out the routine safety inspections for the highways to identify items of maintenance for inclusion in future programs, as well as lesser matters that require more immediate attention. Each inspection is recorded for future reference to ascertain the rate of the deterioration of a street and to allow a defence to be established in connection with the third-party accident claims. 4.4 highway maintenance. Following the information relates to the performance state. 100% of emergency work orders that's done within 24 hours were completed in 2021 to 2022 on time, which is the same as 2020 to 2021. 354 EWOs were completed in 2021, which is an increase of 90 compared to 2020 to 2021. As you can see, 48% priority one works work order within 20 days were completed on time, and which is a 6% decrease compared to 2020 to 2021, which was 336 more than were completed in 2021-2022. 50% of priority two work orders, which is 30 working days, were completed on time in 2021, a decrease of 1% compared to 2021 to 2021, 2020 to 2021. However, 327 more P2 work orders were completed in 2021 to 2022, which was 534 compared to the 2020 to 2021. So as you can see, I'm sure you all looked at the graphs, and if you could understand them, you're a better man than me, because I couldn't understand them. I had to have Parwin and Darren to explain them to me. So the information, the scanner and scrum survey, the information provided by annual scanner and scrim testing by the WGA performance indicator of our adopted ABC highway network. This equates to around 27% of the adopted highway network. This information provides highways with the list of carriageways within the county borough and required resurfacing work that helps provide a safe and sustainable highway network. 4.5 in 2021 to 2022, continued improvements were achieved against key indicators, and as you can see in 4.6, the figures there, I won't read them out. Also, yeah, you can see the figures, the lower is the better, and as you can see, the trend to make it lower. So that's good, a good indication there. Resurfacing and footwear reconstruction. The highway subcontractor generally resurfacing work to be carried out, which involves scarifying an existing surface and replacing with a new layer of asphalt. Tarmac is procured through an all-Wales tender, with labour and plant being procured through an annual quote. 3.3 kilometres of resurfacing work was completed at the value of £440,500 in 2021-2022. Micro asphalt, this is resurfacing, surface preservation method used as a cost-effective alternative to the traditional inlay. Microus asphalt can improve the profile of roads, ride quality and texture. 1.7 kilometres surface preservation work were completed at a value of £119,000 in 2021-2022. Footway reconstruction was carried out by the Highway Department in-house team. This work includes the renewal of curbs, tarmac, and paved footways. 4.1 kilometre footway at the value of £335,374 were renewed in 2021-2022. As you can see, New Road Street Works Act clearly defines responsibility of the council to coordinate and control all road openings within the county borough. Public utilities are legal undertaking by whom statutory rights to execute street works is exercised. 477 samples inspected were completed on utilities. This agreed inspection fee, which generated £17,755 income. As you can see there, where all these works were done and how much income that it brought us in as authority, which is nice to see. But the Highway Drainage Program of Works was compiled by the records collated from routine gully machine cleansing, camera investigation, highway inspection reports and complaints to the unblock gullies and upgrade drainage lines. These works are carried out from capital or Welsh Government funding. Merthyr Tydfil received the Welsh Government grant of 1.6 million and completed the upgrade of 24 highway drainage schemes within the county borough of 21-22. Additional, and this is additional from the funding, which we had from the Storm Dennis Fund Recovery Welsh Government grant, resulting in the upgrade of 16 hand-drain schemes within the county borough in 2021-2022. As part of the Merthyr Tydfil maintenance programme, gullies throughout the county borough are cleansed by our in-house team on a yearly cycle, and details of which are itemised below. So out of the 10,000 gullies we have, 9,470 of those gullies were cleansed during 2021 to 2022, which helps to protect the environment of communities and reduce the flooding risk throughout the borough. The Highway Department currently works with Caerphilly, whereby Merthyr Gully waste is recycled through Caerphilly's reed bed system. In addition to all gully waste gets recycled, which is not only cost effective, but contributes to the recycling targets, which we just spoke about earlier. The winter operations, as you can see, the winter maintenance program also managed by the Highway Department to ensure safe passage of highway users with the grit-in. 50 grit-in runs were completed in 2021-22, enabling safer access to maintain arterial routes within the community. 497 tons of rock salt was used to grit the roads in 2021-2022, making adopted highway safer for service users. 86% of the 2,193 highway customer care complaints received were completed within 5 working days in 2021-2022. This was an improvement of 4% in comparison to 2020 to 2021. In December 22, highways and street lighting department relocated from shared RCT County Borough Council's Abercynon depot to a purpose-built depot in Unit 5, Kenterbach, and this has improved the efficiency of the service, the operations, and improved working relations with the engineering department. Okay, during 2022-23, a total of 2,635 highway inspections were undertaken of adopted highway. An increase of 32 inspections were compared to 21-22. This was due to the increase in number of roads adopted in 21-22. All 21-22 inspections were completed within service standard timescales, as were the 2020-21. Failure to complete the highway inspections within the relevant timescales could potentially lead to the council paying out third-party claims. Highway maintenance, you can see all them. 100% of emergency work orders, EWO, within 24 hours were completed on time in 22, 23, and in 21 and 22. However, there was 43 fewer EWOs completed in 22-23 than in 22-21. As you can see, the other ones then, as you go through the properties, shows the list there. All the rest, if you go through our page, most of them are showing what was done and how effective were, because we had more adopted roads. So as you can see the graphs there, there is a reduction, as you said, the key indicators from 2020, 2021 from 2.70, that's on the A roads, have gone down to 2.50. And on the B roads, it's gone 720 to 620. And on the C roads, it's gone from 330 down to 310. Coming to the end now. So if we look at the resurfacing and reconstruction, highways subcontracted traditional resurfacing work to be carried out, which involves clarifying existing surface and replacing with a new layer of asphalt and tarmac is procured. Oh, I've done that page. Sorry about that. We've done that page. As I said, yeah. So anyhow, leave a master questions because I be on to be around like. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Do we have any questions on the report, please? We do. And starting with Councillor Malcolm Colburn, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a few quick ones. Darren, you have told me before what SCRIM stands for, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, is measuring the texture depth it is on the adopted highway. So there's basically we pay WDM every year to go out and collect the data of our adopted network. So it looks like a transit van. I'll give you the information later. They got a lot of lasers and computers built into the system. They'll drive the network, and then they'll measure the texture depth of the skid resistance of the highway network. And that's very similar as well. It's a different van, but they collect the scanner data as well, which will collect the written data, again, potholes or any deflections in the highway, and all that comes back in a HDI file format, which goes into our Horizon system, which provides the data in a RAG status, and then it helps us evaluate what parts of the network should be looked at, assessed, and future programs for resurfacing or whatever.
Okay, thank you. And you talked about collecting data in the May rise and the alloy systems. Can you just tell us a little bit more about those?
Yeah, currently we've had a Mayray system for 2002. It's a database system. There's got an inbuilt mapping. It currently links customer care, highways, street lighting, and the RASWA module. Street lighting has been recently updated to Alloy, which is more, well, 21st century. It's more of a sort of map-driven system rather than a database system. The data sitting behind, we currently updating Mayray's highways and the customer care module to Alloy. We're hopefully going to be up and running by the 4th of December this year. So hopefully we're going through a transition and a testing part of that system at the moment. And unfortunately, the RASWA section, which currently is all linked together, Welsh Government are looking at a separate system for that. So we probably, well, not probably, they will be running on Mayrays for at least another 2 years. And when Welsh Government decide what system they're going to use, the 22 other unitaries then will all be told to procure with the one system, and they'll all be on that one system for managing the utilities.
So at the moment, all authorities using different systems.
Well, I'd say 80% are probably using Mayrays, but there are 1 or 2 other systems out there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of other quick things. 4.8, you talked about the skip permits and the scaffold permits.
Yeah.
Is it the responsibility of the builder or the householder to obtain skip and scaffolding permits? And how do we make sure that everybody who should be applying for them is?
Yeah, it's the skip holder's responsibility to apply for the permit. So again, the permit is only a requirement if it's on part of the adopted highway. So if you've got a private driveway, if you're on an adopted lane or got in your garden, you wouldn't need a permit. So it's only on the part of the adopted highway. But we got 2.5 inspectors out there. So, you know, if they got a list of what skips are allocated or what's been permitted for in their area. So, you know, 1 or 2 sort of do try to get away with it. But some will, obviously, if they're not around. But the majority of the skips will get picked up. I think the issue we got there is scaffolding rather than the skip, you know, so there's definitely an issue around the scaffolding.
Oh, so because I know, was it 184 scaffolding permits or something, did it say? But there's probably more scaffolding up in my village than there is.
Yeah, well, there's an ongoing discussion we're having at the moment if we can remove it. And as I say, you know, when if we remove 1 or 2, perhaps they'll focus their minds to apply for a permit. Because again, if they're not advertising what skip company it is, they probably haven't got a permit. But the problem is then we can't identify usually who the skip company is, the scaffolding company is. And then you go to the homeowner and then they forward it to the builder, and the builder will sort of, you know, nothing to do with me sort of. And then you're in that circle then of, you know, unless you get a scaffolding company there, it's difficult to do anything with. So if we could remove it, as I say, I think it'd focus their minds a bit, you know.
Okay, thank you. And talking about the winter maintenance now, gritting runs and the amount of rock salt that's being used. I think it was quite a mild winter last year, so I don't know how that compared to previous years. But have we got enough in stock to cover us through?
Well, again, you can never say you've got enough, can you? At the moment, we've got about 2,500 tonne. We've got a provisional order for 500 tonne for January and another 500 tonne for February. But
so that's quite a considerable amount more than we used last year then.
Yes, but at the end of the day, if from previous experience in whiteout conditions, you probably got about a week and a half supply. So it doesn't go far.
So it obviously was an exceptionally mild winter last year then. So.
Well, you say that it was just below average, I think, when I looked at it, it was just below average. So it was more routine maintenance, shall we say, than whiteout conditions where, you know, you're using 20 grams instead of 40 or 60 grams. So, you know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. One last quick one. In 4.11, where we're saying on the gully cleansing, we're recycling the gully waste through Caerphilly's reed bed system.
Yeah,
We have got quite a good reed bed system in the borough. Is there a reason why we're not using that?
don't have planning on it, or is not set up anyway, our rebed system. I think they spent, I don't know, probably £600,000 20 odd years ago setting the facility up. So there's a tip-in facility there, so you can sort of sweep in raisins, gully waste. I think there's other sort of water stuff as well you can use there. There's a catchment area where you tip into, it filters through, it goes through a reed bed system. There's a lake at the bottom where there's sort of wildlife and everything, and the water then recycles right through into holding tanks where if you need fresh water, the water comes out the other way, so you can use the water as well, so you haven't got a cost of any water. So yeah, we could build a facility, but the current reed beds wouldn't be you know, we wouldn't be able to utilize them in what they are then.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councillor Paula Layton, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just on the highways customer complaints on page 9, 4.14, 86% of the 2,193 highways customer care complaints received were completed on time within 5 days in the 2021-22. This was an improvement of 4% compared to 2020 to 2021. There's no mention of how many of these complaints led to compensation claims. Have we got any figures on how many and how much they will cost?
Compensation. Oh,
Sorry?
compensation claims in third party claims. Yeah. Yeah. Any particular year you looking for? I got data back from 2002.
I think you're on mute, Paula.
Sorry about that. No, obviously it was an improvement of 4% compared to 2020 to 2021. So obviously after that.
That's the customer care's completed within 5 days. That's not insurance claims, mind.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking what these complaints, that did any of them lead to any compensation claims?
Yeah, I got data on insurance claims, but that isn't, it wouldn't be identified in there.
Right.
I can give you information, mind. Yeah. Worst claims we had was in 2006, where we received 82 claims and we paid out £539,000 for that.
Yep.
And up to date for 2023, we've had 7 claims costing £800.
Wow, it's great, isn't it? Thank you. Well done.
All right.
You finished on that, Paula?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Clive Jones, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can you take it to page 7 under 4.6, and you refer there, Darren, to Class A, Class B, Class C roads. Can you give me an example of each one? Because I'm sure most of the elected members wouldn't have a clue which is Class A, B or C.
8 kilometres of A road. So that's basically your main artery travelling through the borough.
Right.
The B roads, you've got 12.3 kilometres, which are probably the roads linking to the main arteries.
Right.
And then the C roads are the ones slightly off that again, which have got 35 kilometres. But the unclassifieds are your sort of housing estates and everything. And you have 264 kilometres of that, which makes a total of 340 kilometres. But where Welsh Government are clever, yeah, they don't class the unclassifieds as part of their PI, and that's 70% of our network.
Right, that's very interesting, Chair, because I presume that 70% would include all the terraces, streets, right throughout the county borough. Are they part of the unclassified?
Yeah, no, you're right. If you go to 5.8,
Yeah,
strangely enough, I had surveyed last year.
right. All right.
It's gone on the other page, but then, isn't
Right.
it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So if you look at that, we're at 5.82. Now, if I look at my Pansberg, the last time we had the unclassified surveyed was 2015 to 2017, which we were 12.94. And last year when I had them surveyed, we were 5.82. So that's a massive increase, improvement.
So leads me on to a question I didn't have in my mind until you gave an answer now. As part of the block grant that we get from the Welsh Government, do they look at the specification of the roads, A, B, C, and unclassified?
I think the grant goes on wherever your adopted highway network is.
Right. Doesn't matter whether it's A, B, or C.
I believe so, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, you answered that particular point. Going over the page, then to page 8, under the gully cleansing, the first dot there, you've got 9,470 of 10,000 gullies were cleansed during 21-22. You have the figures for 22-23?
Maybe, what one's that on? So cleansing. Yeah, 2022-23, 9,652, 97%.
Right. And can you clarify, because I can remember when we're going back a little while now, when the report was submitted to full council about how often we cleanse in and how many gullies entries we got, etc. But in that report, my faint memory is that there were more than 10,000 gullies. We were talking some in the region of 11,000 odd. Am I wrong?
It was between 9.5 and 12,000, I think.
Right.
We currently still collecting the asset data, and we going through it to be loaded onto Alloy.
Right.
So from this, since I've written this now, I believe there's somewhere between 10.5 and 11,000. But we still scrutinizing the data.
Right.
If you was to give me another 8 weeks,
Yeah.
We'd have a far more accurate number on
Right.
that.
So correct me if I'm wrong saying this, but we don't know where all the gullies are. Is that the issue?
Yes, I know there, because some are sitting on an adopted highway as well, so they would be recorded. But there's obviously like a line where they'd sit as well.
Right.
And obviously there's new gullies going in.
Yes.
There's gullies being taken away. So it is one of them things. Is great having an asset list, but is who's keeping the asset list up to date.
Right.
Now, hopefully the system as we go forward now, it'll almost be live data. So if something's taken away, it'll be minus. If something's added, it'll be plus. And the same with the cleansing, yeah.
So at some stage, whoever's working out and checking this, we'll have an up-to-date asset list of the gullies and where they are.
Our current GIS officer is looking at 2 sets of data, and he's got a anomaly of about, I don't know, 300 odd assets.
Yeah. So they're up to 12,000. So that could be an extra 2,000 or up to 2,000. They are not cleaned at this moment in time.
Well, I can't say that at the moment. As I say, give us 8 weeks and it'll be able
Right.
to tell you. Because
Right.
some of the stuff might be double counted or whatever.
Right.
I wouldn't like to comment on that
Right.
until I see the
Yeah.
data.
But on that subject, clearly to what was happening before, there's been an increase in the of the frequency of cleaning these gullies, because I think the issue at the time of the report was, I think they were, is it every 2 years or more?
Yes.
And clearly that was having an effect on places being flooded, because like us all, I walk past blocked gullies, and if I see one, I don't wait for somebody to report it. I report it myself,
Yeah.
wherever it is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, right. The next page, it's already been raised by previously, 5.2. You're in the process of replacing the Mayrise management system, and I know you have an answer to Malcolm, but does that mean that we are hoping to use the two systems side by side, or the Ally system doesn't come in until somebody down in Cardiff Bay decides what they're doing?
It's not Cardiff Bay or WG will be, they are looking at the Streetworks module of it. Okay,
Right,
so there's a Streetworks module of Mayrise, there's a street lighting module of Mayrise,
right,
and there's a highways customer care module of Mayrise. So there's 3 modules.
right,
Street lighting has been updated about a month or 6 weeks ago.
right,
Highways customer care is currently going through testing and an upgrade. So as I say, we got a defined date of the 4th of December, but I feel we'll be up and running prior to that. As for the Streetworks module, they'll have to continue using Mayrise until WG decide
right.
what system they're going to use.
So 2/3 of that system will be up and running
Yes.
from the 4th of December.
Mayrise will still function. There won't
Yeah.
be a change in that. It'll still manage the system,
Yeah,
but shall we say that the system is, old?
yeah,
Okay, so as I say, I'm sure they'll support it because they weren't going to support the highways module,
Right.
and that's one of the reasons we sort of moved over. So they'll have to sort of maintain that system until WG provide,
right.
some direction where they
Right.
go in.
So the Ally, because you say in the paragraph, the Ally system is going to be more efficient. What as elected members and cooperative members on Scrutiny Committee, what will we see as the difference to what currently happening?
Hopefully the way you report your complaints and everything. I believe if you now report streetlights, and I hope you will now as the darker nights come on, you'll have a choice of either going onto a street view or a map view. Personally, I would choose the map view. Choose a postcode, you'll go into an area and you'll have visually the lights within that particular area, and then you choose which light is not working and raise the complaint. So
in future, do we as elected members, because it'll come to us?
the street light is already functioning, the street lighting,
Right.
and the same with the sort of highways part of it. I've requested the same, so you'll be able to go on the map and you'll be able to plot where the pothole is, so you can get a pin and drop it in exactly where it is and send it in, and I'll come in.
Right.
So visually, it should be easier.
Okay, thank you. Next question, Chairs, on page 11, 510. Says there, with the increase in cost of labour, fuel and meat materials due to the ongoing cost of living crisis, the lengths of carriageways now being treated has reduced by 41%. In 2014-15, it was 12 kilometres of carriageway was treated compared to just 5 in 2022-23. So as far as ongoing maintenance is concerned, the way I've read that paragraph is that we're doing less than what we were doing certainly about eight years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, and again, the budgets, to be fair, have maintained, I think, pretty well for resurfacing over the last 10 years, other than 2 years, I believe. But overall, with the cost of labour, materials and everything, and I put treatment in there because treatment isn't just resurfacing, it's resurfacing as the traditional, as in lay of tarmac, but it's micro asphalt, is Finitex. We use other products out there to sort of sweat the asset to try and improve what we do out there. But obviously, with the increase of everything, you can see there's been a massive reduction. And obviously, if we're not doing the work as resurfacing or treatment lengths, that puts pressure on the maintenance budget, which obviously then, because you haven't done 12 kilometres, you've only done 5, you've got an extra 7 kilometres to try and put together with your patching budget, which, you know, it is hard. Like.
So that comes down to the amount of money you've got to do the lengths in a nutshell.
Unfortunately, yes.
Because I'm sure every one of the 30 council members can refer you to streets. I've certainly got a few. One in particular is like a patchwork quilt. I think every utility in the land has dug up this particular street. And the last time it was retarmacked, I would say it was donkeys years ago. It certainly has been done in the time that I've been one of the elected members in Park Ward. So how do you determine which is a priority? You know, particularly in streets, terraces, we come across and people do complain and we can't give them an answer.
You'd be surprised how many people complain. No, again, we go back to the scanner data. The scanner data is the driver really for the future program, because obviously A, Bs and Cs would be a priority because that's the main sort of arteries of the borough where people are sort of utilising. But obviously, again, the unclassified does come into it. We do have up-to-date scanner information. As I said, it comes in a RAG status, and if you're down the office, I can show you.
Right.
So you'll have red, amber, greens. Obviously, you're going to be tackling the reds. But like everything, if it's too much reds for your current budget, you've got to look to sweat the asset, and then you do the resurfacing on the items you can do the resurfacing on, and then you do the micro asphalt or the Finitex on other items. But obviously, you've got to have a pretty good construction to use the other materials as well.
Yeah.
So it's trying to do that, and then you sweat the asset, so you get your best bang for your buck. But the future program is nigh on there, other than a major weather event or something that will sort of put a spanner in the works and then fetch something up. And then when you get a councillor saying so-and-so street is in a bad condition, you know, you do a site visit or whatever, but with all the other data you rolled in, that's the priority you're going to have to make.
So when this firm goes around scanning these roads, I think you said earlier, is it every year?
Every year,
every year.
Yeah.
And they come across streets and streets where there's only one way up the middle of the street because there's cars on the one side and cars the other. Are they examining the whole of the road or just the middle of the road?
As I say, there are millions and millions of pounds worth of lasers collecting the data. So they say yes, okay, but you can read whatever you want into that. The data or the lasers or whatever should be able to scan under the vehicles.
I'd like to see that happening. I mean,
Well,
Thomas is my middle name. I doubt if that's happening.
Again, the data is videoed. So you could, if you wanted, you could actually watch the video of the vehicle driving up the street, and you could watch the road, and you could see there's a 360 camera, so you could actually see the data it's collecting.
Right. Okay. And I think it's my last question on page 12, Chair, about winter maintenance operations. Notice there's 141 tonnes used less in 2021-22. How long does this rock salt last for? Because I regularly, I have a look in a number of the grit bins in my ward, and the reason for that is people use it as a very large litter bin. There's cans, bottles, and everything else under the sun dumped in these bins, and I notice the rock salt seems to be, I don't know, seems to me anyway, to be reducing in size from the last time I seen it, which wouldn't have been used. So how long does it rock salt last for in the storage and in the bins?
No, well, the feedback we get, the rock salt lasts forever. Again, it is tested. Moist salt is slightly better to spread. But if you store it outside, you get a crust or whatever that forms on the top. The crust protects the salt within it, and then the salt basically is,
Right.
it is good forever basically.
So the 141 tons you had over there would be used easily the following year without a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Philip Starr next, please.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of questions about definitions really, which I think have been dealt with quite considerably. I was going to ask how you define the highway, but I think we've actually got to that stage with your explanation of A, B, and C roads. But just one other associated question with that: are you responsible for the A470, the dual carriageway?
No.
So that does not come under your auspices then?
No.
Okay,
And-
definitely
and
not the
again-
new
and again,
road.
Sutra's looking after the A470, and then you've got Future Valleys and basically got the section which they are upgrading.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I thought that might be the case. When it comes down to the identifying particular job that you do in the report, I think it's 4.4, 5.5, you've got a hierarchy then of emergency, priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. What are the criteria for those particular sections?
Yeah. Criteria, what you want, depth of it or frequency?
Well, probably examples of what would constitute an emergency or a particular priority.
Well, again, are you looking in a footway or a carriageway?
Well, looking probably in a carriageway.
In a carriageway, in a shopping area, you'd be looking anything over 40 mil.
Okay.
All right. In the footway, in a shopping area, you'd be looking at 20 mil. Okay.
Yeah.
And
As an emergency.
As an emergency.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you're looking in an urban street or a little rural lane, you're looking in a carriageway at 50 mil, and in a little rural lane, 75 mil.
Right, so it's quite
Right?
deep then.
So it's got to exceed that,
Yeah,
not within it.
Yeah.
So you've got to exceed it.
Yeah.
And again, this is about inspecting the highway. And this is when people say, I got a pothole and there's a surface peel. All right, horrible to drive over. And I'd like to fill everything in, but I can't.
Yeah.
All right. So this is why the criteria is there, is in the policy. The inspectors go and sort of inspect monthly town centres, 6 monthly urban streets, 12 months little rurals. But when they got 3 inspections in, if somebody puts in what's called a claim or try to put a claim in, then we can defend under Section 58.
Yeah.
And so that will automatically be kicked out. They will not get paid out.
Yeah, but that kind of information about depth of a particular feature, that would be useful for people to know.
Yeah.
I think it's we're talking about 75 mil and 40 mil, and people can clearly see then what would constitute different priorities.
And again, we do a lot of work with CSS Wales on that. So just to give you some idea, when you think of sort of items as being sort of deep or whatever, the sort of national minimum average for a shopping area in other councils would be 50 mil. We are saying is 40 mil,
yeah.
Right. And again, for urban streets, we are saying it's 50, other councils are saying it's 75. So, we're above other councils, although you may not agree with the criteria.
No, but they're there for a purpose, aren't they? To be consistent, aren't they? Okay, right, thank you, Chair.
And again, if you lower the criteria,
Yeah.
you've got to increase your budget.
Yeah,
You've got to do something.
You got to do more work, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
Councillor Bill Smith, please.
Oh, thank you, Chair. No, I'm quite happy with the report in front and the questions being asked. My bugbear is that since Gary Andon have finished, I haven't got a phone number for the highway inspectors. And I don't go on the mapping, right, because my computer went down this morning, and sometimes I'm going for a day's work run. So can somebody send me the date for highway?
I'll send you
his
contact.
mobile number?
Yes, I'll send you through.
I'm over the moon now, one. But I'm not going to the road on computer and then do something else.
Following on from that, can I ask you that you send that to all members of the committee, please?
Well, if I send it to you, Dave.
councillors.
Or all councillors?
All councillors, eh?
Yeah.
Yes, please. So are there any further questions from the committee? Move on then to comments, please.
It's fine. We improved over the last couple of years. The staff are working more closely. Technology have come in. And that's amazing because we started technology years ago, didn't we? So everything's getting better. The only trouble I can see is the funding. And that's a knock-on effect. And we've got to keep an eye on that. So otherwise everything's fine, but the answers are right. We know where we're going. And it's the funding. And we're changing some of the roads because we've done a good job in Dowless on that dual carriage over. So yeah, it was fine for me. So I know other members will comment.
Councillor Leighton, please.
Yeah, just want to say great report and well prepared, great answers. Fair play. And it'll be great to see that report going around as well, because you see so much on social media about, oh, there's a pothole here, there's a pothole there, but it's interesting to obviously have the measurements there so we can actually answer that and say, you know, hang on a minute, there isn't, and we are actually better than other councils. So brilliant, well done, thank you.
Councillor Clive Jones, please.
Yes, Chair. It's a very interesting report. As you say, Councillor Hughes, it's quite complicated, isn't it? With the percentages, etc. But the biggest bugbear of all, and it's been touched upon, and Phil asked a question about potholes. It is simply not generally known out there. They see a pothole, whatever size it is, and they expect the council to come there the following day. It's not going to happen. The number of times I've had to try and explain to a person that's tearing off about a pothole that they've hit with a car, that they are looked at, they are measured, and if they are not below a certain size, it's the policy. But trying to explain that one by one to residents is not an easy task, I can assure you. But there it is. That's where we left off with. But as Councillor Smith says, it is all down at the end of the day to the amount of resources that you've got, and you've got to work out what the priorities are of the local authority. But it'll always, highways, maintenance, and the amount of lengths of roads you can do is always going to be an issue. Cheers.
I mean, just to say that what we'll be looking at in the near future is, obviously, if you look at the money generated by inspections, and the more inspections we do and the more money we're making, if we looking at the feasibility of, I mean, other people out there looking at these especially with these utilities now, a lot of these works that are being done are substandard. And then they off. So we will be looking at maybe taking on some of these extra people to target these, because a lot of the problem we're getting in the local authority is utilities not repairing the repairs properly. There was one up on top of up by the old YMCA a little bit there. Well, the hole there was massive, and the council had all the flack when it was actually the utilities who done the repair. And but you know what it's like. The council was the one that had all the flack. So we'll be looking at that. So keep an eye out for that. Bye.
Yes, Clive.
in response to that, that is definitely an improvement, which frankly, in my opinion, was badly needed in the past, because the standard of refill from the utilities in many cases left a lot to be desired. And it's pleasing to see inspectors picking this out, which is, in my view, part and parcel of their job, and getting in touch with the utilities and saying, you've got to come back and put it to this standard. If you don't, I understand they give them a bit of time, but they don't. We do the job and charge them, and that's what should be happening.
And we coring them as well. Now, I don't know if we read the report, coring the utility openings.
All right.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
We're checking the depth and the
Right.
material is correct.
Right. Okay. That's great.
Further on that point, how long would you expect, or is the legal requirement for a utility repair to last?
Depends on the classification of road. That's the sort of issue. Depends on the classification of road. It's 3 and 5 years they got. But if you look with utilities, the failure points are usually the edges.
Yeah.
And then when the edge goes, the road goes. And that's the problem. But that's where we core it now, because some of them are using the wrong material. They're definitely not using the correct depths. And there's a lot of contamination in materials as well. So when you put the material on the road, you may have earth, stone, or whatever. So it all gets brushed in the hole, and then obviously the material may be the correct depth, but it's not the correct material, so it fails. So that's where the coring comes in. Goes to an accredited company, and they test what's there. And as you say, it's earned us a few quid the last couple of years. So
Who checks the corers? Oh, no, don't go there.
let's start them.
Do we have any further comments, please? No. I'd like to thank you for a very enlightening report. A lot of information in there, and all the questions you've answered, much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yep, that's fine. Thanks.
You want us to stay now?
No, I'm off. I got other things to do. You can have him. That's him.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, if you need anything, you show. Cheers, Dave. That's you, right?
Thank you, Ben. Speak to you soon. You can scan was a copy of Darren has just given us some information. Neil is going to scan it. It's about the scrim and scanning machines. So I need to send it out to the send electronically if everyone's happy with that, or okay with that. And on that note, then we'll move on to agenda item 5, the Scrutiny Forward Work Programme. We're aware of the future programme from the pre-meet. Anyone got any comments or questions going forward?
and monitoring. Okay.
That's correct. And we are looking to possibly break that down. Because of this,
What item was that again? Sorry.
the LDP. We are looking to have it broken down into smaller sections.
Yeah, it's a big document, I presume.
Yeah. And possibly bring that in with some of the other less busy meetings.
Okay. Thank you.
Right?
So on that point, because the local development plan, believe you me, they've been on the planning committee in Villas and Malcolm has. It can take hours. So when you say break it down, you bring it down to particular aspects of it, and we won't be doing it all in one scrutiny committee by the sound of it. So does that mean we will have space to put another item in?
Yes, there would be enough space to do that. Sorry, go back to the LDP one first.
Yeah.
What we're looking at is having sort of an introduction to the umbrella issue, and then to break it down into wards. I don't know whether it's 3 wards, 4 wards at a time, and space it out that way.
Right.
But I suppose, yes, if there was something that was ready, we could bring something in for the next scrutiny meeting.
And
Do you have anything in mind?
Well, there's additional items for consideration and right at the very back of the report. For example, we've been all of us are interested in this one, and that's the nappy absorbent hygiene products recycling.
It's funny you should say that, because I was thinking when they're saying we're going to aim for 100% recycling, I thought, well, you're not.
You're not.
The nappies, isn't it?
No, you're not. You're not. And it's a subject I think that every one of us on the student committee are particularly interested in. I know we've had a few stabs at it, and we've been given certain information by the officers. But it's something I think that we need to pursue, because in this day and age, we shouldn't be putting nappy or any other absorbent hygiene products in the wheelie bin. We talked about it this afternoon. We want to, if we're going to reach the 100% target in 2050, but it's certainly in the 70% target, or even soon after that, they need to be looking at this. And from what I've seen of it, we got information, we've only come so far, and we haven't got anywhere near to progress in this on solving it. You know, we got arguments going on out there with the public, especially if they've got young babies. It then comes down to whether you're entitled to it or not. And if somebody says, no, you're not, for a particular reason, they're trying to put all these in a small black wheelie bin, which it shouldn't be put them there in the first place. So I know there seems to be, well, I wouldn't say a reluctance, but it doesn't seem to be top of the agenda as far as the officers are concerned, in my view, as to how they're going to tackle this, because other authorities are doing it. And I just think that we should be keeping on about this and trying to crack it one day.
No, I think reluctance is exactly the right word.
Right. So that was my view. I wouldn't do it was shit, but it seemed to be the case, and they didn't seem to want to get anywhere further with this.
It's cost, the organisation of it, or a combination of both costs?
I think it's all of that.
As much as anything else, the Welsh Government are trying to organise facilities, either the South East Wales region one or regional one, or a couple across Wales altogether. What we're waiting for is Welsh Government to make a decision on whether there's going to be a facility that can handle it. And until we get that, I don't see how we can go forward.
I think as well with the costing, as you say, in facilities, those are the two things that are always going to stop this. It will always stop this. And they've got a facility, I believe. Where did they say they had a facility, Chair? They've got a facility down in one of the bigger ones. But for us to sort of transport and whatever, didn't that come up that it was going to cost? There is somewhere. They're doing it somewhere. I'll have
Yeah,
to have a look up.
but they are looking at setting up a larger regional centre.
Right.
So
Can
we-
I ask that, Jim, because you attend these technical meetings with the cabinet member, the officers, and you,
funny enough, there's one Friday.
right. Well,
Thursday. Thursday, sorry.
right.
Thursday.
Can I ask that this is raised there again?
Yep.
That it has been discussed as part of the forward working program again. And what is the progress? What is the sticking point? And if there are plans afoot in the Welsh government, we need to be told. Because
We'll get the latest information and report it back,
lovely.
possibly by email,
Right. Okay.
as long as everyone's happy with that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Fine.
No problem with that.
But you know, I think perhaps we need to discuss, because it's going to be I presume Craig Watkins coming here to deal with the local development plan. I think perhaps you need to sit down with him and say, well, how long is this going to take? Because you might be surprised. It's a huge document.
We've already had the conversation
All
with
right.
Craig.
Okay.
And that's why the reason for that was trying to break it down
Right.
into not bite-sized pieces. There'd still be substantial
Yeah.
pieces. But the reason I was inclined to leave it as it is, because the first one will give sort of the overarching, the umbrella position, and then to try and get 3 or 4 areas in. I thought that might take up the full meeting so that people would have more chance, members would have more chance to understand the bigger picture stuff first. So the first meeting would be the longest, but I'd be happy to bring something else up if that's what the committee wants.
Thursday, and you do get some kind of response to the issue of recycling of these kinds of products.
Absorbing waste products.
That could be just brought to our attention during that meeting then. We wouldn't necessarily have to go and reinvent the wheel, because I'm sure we've been around this several times.
Yeah.
But just to know what the authority's current position is on recycling of nappy and waste products.
Absorbent hygiene products.
Absorbent hygiene products. We'd be nice to know what their position is, whether they've moved towards discussing it, or whether they can say, look, we haven't done anything with regard to that. And if they haven't, why?
We'll have that meeting on Thursday, get the information, and we'll get it out to you as quickly as possible. And then if you can respond quickly, then we can see where we go from there. And of course, that'll be depend on what happens on Thursday as well. Yeah. Good. All the best, man. Thank you. Anything else to raise with as regard to the forward work programme? Nope. Move on into item 6, scrutiny referrals. I don't have any.
The work program, but I got 2 issues I'd like to discuss there. One is telephone numbers. We got a policy for the public. So when they phone in after 4 or 5 rings, it's your phone number. Pick the phone up and talk to them. Why haven't we got one for members? Because I'm fed up of trying to get mobile numbers from officers, trying to phone me back. Instead of taking a day, it takes 2 days. So can we look at some sort of policy that we can, members, officers to phone us back when we phone them? So I don't know if any other members get major problems.
And coupled with that, because that's a very good point, when the officer leaves the post, we need to be told
And we also need to be told if the positions be filled.
who it is. Because on the question of replacement of Gary Harrington, who'd been with us 42 years and many years in that job and did an excellent job. I was left in midair. And we have issues that we need to pass on to the highways inspectors as elected members constantly.
Can we,
One of the other committees that I'm on, I can't remember this corporate or the joint committee. I believe it's the corporate one.
Corporate one.
This has been discussed.
Right.
Apparently, there is now a full index of numbers.
Right.
because I brought it up last Monday. Because it's Merthyr Valley Homes and Merthyr Council in the same boat. They're not giving no information out.
But they said that they
They
have.
will do it, but they got to do it pronto.
Yeah, they've got it, but they haven't distributed it. That's my understanding of it.
But-
So, yeah, I'll have a chat with Carter because it's his scrutiny.
But in the case of the highways inspector, because when Gary Harrington left, that was it. We weren't told who was covering that post in the meantime. And then I found out from asking a question that in our case, in my ward, it was Alex Chaff. So I don't know whether he's the one that's going to cover Gurney.
I'm going to tell you
No,
what
I know.
They say he's 1 or 2 now, so I'm going to say.
But he should, as elected members, we need that information.
Well, is that not a question that we missed out, especially with Darren, who's just left?
Well, I did mention about the phone numbers, and so
Yeah, the phone numbers. Yeah, but when
bit of common sense would have told them that we need
I know
more.
in the pre-scrutiny we did say, and I missed it as well, and I got it written down in front of me, that we should have asked about the who's working where.
Communication.
Not just the communications, but who's working where, the
Oh, right.
Well,
job descriptions.
The structure. I thought it come through here now because through Neil, you can take it through the officer of scrutiny. What's the structure of the council? And where are we?
Um,
See, that's what I'm going to bring up. And another issue I got. Can we arrange some meeting with the police, because the town centre, right, is absolutely disgusting. You got druggies all over the place. They're doing wheelies and up in town, right? Have you seen it? I tell you, for young girls like that, I'd be petrified to go out. I tell you, I never seen so many headbangers in my life. They're begging everywhere, looking for money. Something got to be done, and the town centre's thinking, what they're leaving about after. You go there over there now, see the rubbish about in the doorways and God knows what. We're losing our plots slowly in the town centre, and levelling up is a bit longer than it should be. So we should have.
I totally agree with you, Bill.
Alan Lowen should come here to give us what we're doing and levelling up, to sort out the town centre out, because people are losing. We're getting like Everville. I've been to Everville. No bother. Shocking.
Come in with Neil.
No, sorry to jump in there, Councillor Smith. As Councillor Jones is probably aware, we did have most of those issues probably sit under the region and public protection scrutiny. And I think it is a lot of work that's been done recently.
Yeah, right. But I was talking to the boys last week, right? The outside test was begging, the boys are walking past them. I'm making an issue now, right, for the scrutiny is to refer it to other departments to get them in.
Yeah.
It might be all scrutiny partners in social services, some sort of education, because the kids hanging about there. So it's not just one scrutiny, it could be quite a few, all of us in together and sort that out.
But it is a lot of work that has been going on, particularly in the Paul Lewis's area as well. But I support Councillor Lee Davis in the public protection scrutiny, so I'll pass your comments on to him as well. See if he wants to action anything.
It gotta be done. We gotta do something. Even the tram roads and up by the St. Tidwells, unbelievable. That's me.
Do we have any further? I don't know where we go with that one. Scrutiny further. Right, so we'll speak to Lee with regard to that going to regen. Item 7, did we address the recommendations in each report and how have we added value? I think they were well debated. There were lots of questions. To be fair, the officers covered, I believe, everything. So I'm happy with that. It was adequately scrutinized. Any comments from anyone else on that? No.
I just think they were really well prepared answers, you know. They were prepared for the questions and, you know, they had the answers that we required. So I thought that was really good.
So we move on then to item 8, feedback on scrutiny activities and any outstanding actions, feedback from workshops, task and finish groups, inquiry days, etc. The one that we've got on this is, no, it's the next one. No, there's not this one. It's not, there's no major feedback on this one. So any comments from anyone? No. The only one that we have got, and I don't know why I'm missing this, is that we've had a response back from Wales and the West Housing Association with regard to the litter collection. We've sent back out to the others to try and get a few of the RSLs to attend, especially Merthyr Valley's Homes are the one we really want to attend. But I don't know whether just having Wales and the West in on their own would be worthwhile. If we could have Merthyr Tydfil Housing Association, Wales and the West, Harvard, and get 3 or 4 others, but really we need to try and get MVH to come in to make it up. So we're working on that at the moment.
On that point, going back 2 months, there was going to be a joint scrutiny with us and Regen and Housing in relation to the litter issues. And that seems to have gone into the long grass somewhere, because there was all this issue about whether the staff dealing with litter and enforcement, etc., was likely to move. Then I was told, because I queried it with Judith Jones just recently, there was no intention of it being moved. So frankly, I don't know where we are on that particular one, because it doesn't seem to be working at the moment. You've got the enforcement action point of view is now, is it real fly tipping? And if it is fly tipping, they then have to go there and check. And frankly, the only way they can find out if somebody's fly tipping deliberately is opening the black bag and finding evidence. And that seems to be a matter which is taking, in my view, some time with the environmental health staff, whereas where it was before didn't seem to be taken. They could, but so there's one part of it, litter enforcement is with one department, and the other problems with litter is with another department, and there lies the problem.
Okay, come over there. Just, it was probably about half an hour before this scrutiny actually started. I spoke with Councillor Declan Salmon.
Right.
Following on from the regen and public protection scrutiny, I think he's going to be leading. Don't hold me to it, but I understand it's going to be sort of in a task and finish sort of format, that he's going to start commencing looking into the fly tipping and that matter.
But
My understanding was there was going to be a joint scrutiny to look at this because there were issues in, getting this tied up
Yeah,
and flowing, but that doesn't seem to have happened.
yeah, I say, don't know what format yet. Again, I think it's going to be sort of in the task and finish sort of format, but again, I'm going to have more clarification from Councillor
Right.
Sam, and he may bring it up
Right. Well,
again tomorrow in the
yeah.
in the scrutiny
Well-
tomorrow.
Well, I'll be attending the pre-scrutiny
Yeah,
tomorrow, so I'll raise it there.
yeah.
Okay. Cheers.
Nine, any other business deemed urgent by the chair? We have none. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. And thank you for your input. It's been much appreciated. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you very much. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
That was optimistic, Bill.